Greetings, everyone. This is Mike Riley, the voice of Ironman. And this is the Old School Tri Show with my Kiwi mates Cameron Harper and Brian Ashby. The show that talks about all things triathlon, old and new. We're powered by Ansco Foods, bringing you nutrition and good health from New Zealand's beef and lamb. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome along to the Old School Tri Show, brought to you by our friends at Ansco Foods. And today, Brian, very interesting guest who had success in Auckland and also went oh so close in Taupo.
Yes, indeed. The very last year that Ironman New Zealand was raced in the Queen City. He's the Great Dane. He was part of a Danish double on that day. Our guest today is Peter Sandvang.
Ansco Foods is proud to be the new naming partner of Ironman New Zealand, ensuring every stroke, pedal and stride is powered by the best nature has to offer. Ansco Foods is on a mission to bring nutrition and good health from New Zealand's finest beef and lamb. Ansco Foods, putting the iron in Ironman with New Zealand's finest beef and lamb. Visit anscofoods.com/Ironman to find out more.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us today on the Old School Tri Show. And just as way of background in terms of before you got to Ironman New Zealand, you had a colourful career building up to the point of getting to Ironman New Zealand. But as a young bloke at school, you're a big, tall fella. What were your sporting interests? I can see you as a central defender in a football team. What were your early sporting interests?
I was actually playing a lot of football, soccer in Denmark, but I was scoring the goals though, in all kind of ways. So, but then I started as a swimmer, and I swam quite a lot, and then it took over, and I was swimmer for like 5 years before I started as a bike rider. And as a bike rider, I got really serious and got really good in a very short time. So I had talent for that. That's probably my biggest talent in my life ever, to ride a bike. And if I train, I get really good. So then after 3 years as a bike rider, I tried a triathlon as just for fun, and I won with 10 minutes. And then I got my new sport. So, yeah.
And how old were you when triathlon became a thing?
I was 21, yeah. So it was a bit late start, but.
And was that locally in Denmark, Peter?
Yeah, it was locally in my town. It was the local event where 500 people was coming into the event, and it was just a small, not elite event, but it catch me quite. I was totally dying on the run, but I was having a good time anyway.
What was it? Was it a light bulb moment for you, thinking, I love the sport. This is my skill set. Well, 2 out of 3 of them are really my skill set, and this sport is something that I can really grab onto here.
Yes, that was my moment that I would do some more triathlon, but I still had the bike heart inside of me. So I was also going to France, an amateur team, but on bike riding. But then I tried more triathlon, and I got hooked on that. But I would like to go back in to '89 again, and then choose cycling. See how if I would have gone to the Tour de France and all that kind of stuff. We have many great bike riders in Denmark, especially at the moment.
Oh, Jonas Vingegaard is incredible.
Yeah, yes, of course. He's a little smaller than me, though.
Yeah, he's only a little guy. So that was my next question, Peter. If you had stuck to cycling, were you good enough to make it professionally as a cyclist, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But, well, I don't know. But I pushed a lot of watts. We have some measuring in Team Denmark, so I had a threshold of 435 watts It was pretty high,
That's good.
and it was better than most of the bike riders. So maybe if I don't know, but you will never know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's well impressive. And you're 21 years old and you have a go at your first triathlon. What were you sort of doing with your life at that time? Were you studying or were you working or what was sort of
I
going
was
on for
working
you
in
at
a
that time?
bank, full
Yeah,
time in a bank,
Yeah.
and then I decided after 3 years as a banker to go all in triathlon to see if I can make it, because when I go to events in Europe, all my opponents were professional and they didn't do anything. They didn't work for 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
So
mm,
I think I needed to go to give it a chance and see if I could make it. At least after 1 year, I could go back to the bank, and
yeah,
then I tried before I sitting like 40 years old and with a little
yeah.
stomach, big stomach, and thought of what I should have done. So
Mm.
that was then I was a pro for like 8 or 9 years, and
Yeah.
I was really satisfied with that.
You mentioned that running was a bit of a struggle for you, obviously, sort of coming strongly from swim and bike.
Yeah.
So, did you have a sort of coach kick in for you at that point? How did you develop your running skills and speed?
Well, I ran. I had a coach, a triathlon coach, who used to be a run coach, and we ran quite a lot of mileage. And we didn't do much technique though. I would probably have done that today, but I could still run 15 minutes on a 5K, so I wasn't a bad runner, but it was more because of my engine I could run that fast. But yes, in the long runs, I had to struggle in the end sometimes. But I also had some of the professional event. I had the fastest run split, so I could run though
Yeah,
if I didn't go all out on a bike. But normally I go quite high on the bike to have a gap. Then I was maybe a little bit more tired.
But you were a very good swimmer as well, Peter. Were you often in the front pack or in the lead in your races before the bike and then put more
Yes,
distance into people at that point?
yes, I was good enough to go up with the first group. Not exceptional good swimmer, but I was good in open water, and I could normally go with a fast group. So I was normally up in top 10 or something like that, or top 5. Or then I remember was it in 1997, the first year, or 1998, where there was a really fast swimmer. He swam in Auckland in 45 minutes or something like that. I caught him with 10 Ks to go or something on the bike.
Really?
Brian Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was not the name. I know Brian, but it was just a swimmer. And he was
Someone
go
incredible.
quite fast on the. I can't remember his name though.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
really
Well,
fast. So that kind of swimmer I'm not, but I'm good enough to normally go not far away from Brian Rhodes, who was a really good swimmer.
Yeah.
Peter, when you went professional, did you sort of were you racing standard distance at that stage? Because you know,
Yes.
further into your career, you were clearly built for the longer distances. You had such a good
Yeah.
good record at the ITU Long Distance World Championships.
Yeah.
Obviously, quite superb. So, what was it like in the shorter races for you initially? Did you sort of realize early on that I'm better suited to endurance, or was it just sort of finding your way?
I was just finding my way to support myself. I was a really good standard racer, but I was a German champion in 1996 on the standard distance with in front of Lothar Leder and all the Hellriegel and all that kind of
Wow.
stuff, the kind of guys. So I was really a high level on the short distance. But then they changed the rules about the biking. and it was drafting races suddenly, and that was not my force. So I needed to go longer to play my good card on the bike out and get something out of it.
It's a really familiar story that
Yeah.
somebody who we'll talk about in a wee while, Cameron Brown, tells the same story, and his career took a sort of similar pattern. So your first Ironman, I think, was it at home in '95? Is that correct?
I think it was Lanzarote Ironman,
Oh, that's right.
1995.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
One
you
of
did
the
a lot of
hardest
training
one
there, didn't
ever.
you? Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
And you had success there, and you trained in Canary Islands a lot too, didn't you?
Yeah, I have been on Lanzarote on the Club La Santa for more than a year of my life, maybe 2 years, on all kind of training camps. It's a really good island to train on, and it's so incredible hard to bike there because there are always meters, high meters, and bad roads, and a lot of wind, and no trees at all. So it was. And if you survive that, you get really strong to bike there for a long period. But my first Ironman was really. I come back from an injury, and my run was a nightmare just to get through. So I couldn't see any colors in the last 5K, and when I crossed the line, I just fell around. I couldn't do anything. I got really sick afterwards, so it was not a good experience. But then I picked it up later on.
Yeah.
How long after doing that Ironman did you think it was a good idea to do another one?
Well, it took me maybe a week. Then I signed up for the Danish Championship in Denmark in August 1995, which I won. So it was, and then we should do Hawaii the same year. It was too much. I was so tired when we reached Hawaii, so I DNF'd there. So
yeah. Just on Hawaii, we'll just briefly touch on it now since you've brought it up. I think your best result there was a 10th. The heat really wasn't your thing, was it? You like the grotty, mean, windy, wet, just the hard hombre days, not the heat days.
No, not really the heat, but Hawaii is a very, very special race because it's all about who can handle the heat. Yeah. And I didn't find my way there, but I also didn't believe that I could win it. So I was very often tired when I came there because I must have won something else before that, because I couldn't go 100% on Hawaii alone. I mean, there was only prize money for the first 10, and it was not that high. So I need to earn the money before, and then that's made me a little bit tired, and I needed a holiday and all kind of stuff. There was only one in 1998 and 1999. I managed to get through, but it wasn't my peak performance at all. So, but I never find my way. But the Dane Torbjørn Sindballe, he is the same size as me, and he was just focused on Hawaii. He was almost the same physique as. I mean, he was a good bike rider, good swimmer, and then he struggled a little on the run, but he managed to get in the third place, and that was amazing. But he was like using 3 or 4 years only on Hawaii. Wow. And he did a lot of warm training in Denmark with all kind of things.
What are the temperature ranges like in Denmark, Peter? It strikes me as, like New Zealand, we're at the bottom end of the world, you're at the top end of the world. I mean, does it get? I know
it's quite cold.
Does it get warm? Does it get warm at all?
Ask Cameron Brown. He was here to make Copenhagen Ironman. He lived with me. Yeah. He lived here in August. It was like sometimes it was like 10 degrees or 15 degrees or something Celsius, and he was it's the middle of the summer. Wow. So it's quite cold.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but right now it's 20 degrees and beautiful weather, but it can be like, it's a bit
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
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 And I'm very, very good when it's cold.
Yeah.
On races,
What brought you to
yeah.
New Zealand in 1997? What was the decision that drew you all the way from one side of the world to way down here at the bottom?
I heard that at that time there wasn't that many Ironmans. And now you can almost do one every week. But I'm always very strong and motivated in the beginning of the season, and I needed an early race. And I heard a lot about your event, and I really wanted to go there to New Zealand. So I went to. I knew Tony Songhurst. It's a duathlete from New Zealand, and I lived with his family the first time in Auckland when I was there.
I look at the result from 1997, and you finished third that day on a bit. I look at the quality of the fields, and so the names that are there: Lotta Leder, Stefan Holzner, Stephen Farrell, and Craig Watson from New Zealand. I think Scott Balancer, the past winner, was racing and so on. What are your recollections of that first race in 1997? I think had you been ill in the build up to that?
Well, I can't really remember how was the build-up. I was in a good stage until the run. I lost a little bit, but I didn't melt down. It was a okay race for me. It wasn't my best race, but I mean, Lothar is a very strong guy, and it was a good race, though. But in 1998, it was much harder weather.
Yeah,
I
And that's
remember, and
certainly-
also field.
Yeah, you Ken Glar, Olivia Bernhardt, Tim de Boom, for heaven's sake. It's ridiculous how strong that field is. So in 1998, you come back, you've had a taste of the Auckland course, you've got a bit of a feel for the lay of the land and so on there, and the weather's grotty. It's kind of the perfect setup for you, is it?
Yeah. Yes, it was. I remember the swim. There were so big waves. I think it was inside the harbor or near the harbor. I just saw on the big and you couldn't. It was really hard to orientate in the swim if you were down in you were on top of the waves. You couldn't see anything. But I had a good swim. Brian Rhodes was in front of me as the only one, I think. And then the weather was windy. And I remember on the way back, there was a hailstorm. So I was sitting there on hardly naked, almost naked. At that time, you didn't have a lot of clothes, only trunks and speedos and shirt on, and it was really hitting me hard. But it was the same for everyone. And then I think I fell on the bike in the last 5K.
I've read that because I think did you and Tony O'Hagan haul Brian Rhodes in at about the halfway point, and so you spent much of that ride sort of with the late Tony O'Hagan.
Yeah, Tony, he was really strong that day, but I think as I remember it, I lost him in the end. I biked a little away from him in the end on the bike ride, and then I just then I fell on my bike, and I was really quiet. It was not a big. It was just so slippery because the roads were so wet, and I just grabbed my bike and then hit on the again, and it wasn't a really big thing, but I remember Tony. He was so strong that day.
Yeah.
So you rode like an angry man to catch up to Tony again.
Yeah. I did.
But do you remember that bike course, Peter? It was a very challenging, very rolling, rolling course. But I guess being from your cycling background, you probably didn't mind that course.
No, there was a lot of hills, and yes, I like the old course, but as well as the new one in Taupo in 2001. I did that. But it was more challenging the old course in Auckland for sure on the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
So
hard.
So tell us about the marathon then. I think you sort of ran. Were you largely toe for toe with Tony O'Hagan, but you kind of broke him in the end. I think he cramped up, and you were able to pull away from him.
Yeah, I remember the run. I was in front the whole way, but there were so many good guys right behind me, so it was like a nightmare the whole way. You couldn't relax at all. Only like the last kilometers, I turned around and see that nobody was there, and I started to relax and see, yes, I'm winning this one. But I mean, Olivier Bernard, he was third, and he won at the same year the Zofingen, the most prestigious triathlon in the world in Switzerland. And De Boom, he won Hawaii a couple of years later. So a really quality field, and all the local lads who want to win us on a high level, like O'Hagan, and we really had a good fight that day.
How tough? I mean, how tough was it? Say somebody like a Bernhard, I think, ran about 7 minutes quicker than you, and I think he had a few issues that day that held him back. But what was it like for you, not just in this race, but other races as well, kind of being the rabbit, often, being at the front of the field?
I'm always a rabbit. Yes. I mean, I'm always a rabbit. I'm always, if I want to win the race, I should be in front after the bike and hopefully alone.
Yeah.
And then I should pace my run so I can get a good marathon time, but also mentally kill the other one behind. So normally I go out a little bit hard, so they don't get any hopes. The next ones. We're running hard, and it's still 2 minutes up to Peter, so we cannot beat him today or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's also dangerous tactics because I could maybe melt down in the end because I go too hard out. But it was my tactic to kill their hopes, the opponents. So I'm really used to that. Always, my races was always like that.
You killed their hopes that day. What was the finish line like? The atmosphere in Auckland, going down the finishing chute.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's always so nice. It's also emotion, very emotional because you have been working so hard for so many months to win something. It was very important to support your family and all that to win some of the races. So it's always. It was really big in Auckland. There were so many spectators in the end. It's really a sports nation. Auckland, New Zealand, yeah.
And what was it like for you at Ironman New Zealand? Because your compatriot Susan Nielsen won as well, another Danish athlete.
Yeah. It was good fun that we won together, and we have been training a lot together. We have the same coach, Gabriel Klützel, who passed away earlier this year. But we had really good training, and he was very confident that we will do very good because we were flying around in Lanzarote on the training camps. We were so strong, both of us.
Was it big news in Denmark? How much sort of interest was there back home, the double success?
Well, triathlon is not like soccer or handball, but there was some media. But we always, in a small sport like triathlon, we must make some noise ourselves to get in the media and get some sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah. We didn't see you back here for a few years, but you had plenty going on through the next couple of years with the ITU long course successes, double success there with the World Championship.
Yeah.
You had good support from your national federation, sort of were keen for you to race that, because I think one of them was at home.
Yes, the last one was in 2001 in Denmark. But my biggest win in my career was, I think, Nice. in 2000, where I won this event, which really is the biggest event in Europe, I think. And also Hawaii is now Nice in modern history. So it's I'm very happy to win there, and I also had a really close fight with a French guy, Cyril Neveu, and I think there was 4 or 5 Frenchmen right after me, so I was also the rapid there.
What's Nice? I mean, Nice is a beautiful town, and it's a great location. But the history of Nice as an event capital is quite incredible. And as you say, Peter, it's now one of the homes of the Ironman World Championships, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean the event is huge. There's I think in 2001 there was 3,000 at the start line, and the bike is really challenging and really challenging. It was up and down the whole day, and then the run is just boring but very intense on the Promenade des Anglais.
Yeah.
Is that your fondest memory in the sport, your victory in Nice?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I was so nervous, because I was in 1999 I won the ITU long distance in Sweden, Säter, and I started to feel the pressure. I had the start number 1 in Nice and all that all the media was there, and also Eurosport, and I wasn't sleeping much until I think I slept 2 hours or something like that in the night, and almost fell asleep on the way to the start. And I had an awful swim. Susanna Nielsen and I came up together, and normally I'm at 2 minutes or 3 minutes in front of her. So, and I thought, oh, it's all gone. But then I had the diamonds in my legs, and I was really good on the bike. And I caught all the French guys on the very top of Col de Vence. And I remember there was a New Zealand guy who was it Sheldrake? Stephen Sheldrake. Yeah, he was up there with the French, but he crashed on the bike on the downhill right after me, I think. So yeah, but that was the biggest win for me in my head.
Yeah. It must have been on that day with the French athletes coming out in the swim and looking around thinking, thank goodness Peter Sandvang is back there. And then you go straight past him on the bike.
It was really good. Even though I was a big guy, I was quite fast uphill. So I had the fastest split up to Col de Vence that day. 2 minutes or something like that. I was just flying.
But if you're going to race in Nice, you've got to be able to be a good bike rider, don't you? I mean, it's a very technical cycling around there.
Yes, also on the downhill, it's very technical. And I went there with the national team 3 weeks before, and 3 times a week we took the course. And normally we go very fast downhill every time, so I could remember the turns, and so it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
We got you back to New Zealand in 2001, but things are a little bit different. First and foremost, it's a whole new venue. So what did you make of Taupo compared to Auckland?
It's just a beautiful site. I'm more nature guy, so I was. I remember I was swimming in the lake, and I saw a lot of fish, and it was so clear, and I liked the surroundings. So beautiful.